Hey there, welcome to Cooking with Kitsune Mas. Today we're going to be elevating your bread crust with 3 simple ingredients. 5 slices of bread crust, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and enough vegetable oil to cover the pan. Today we're going to be making rusk. If you don't know what rusk is, it is a simple, sweet, dry, and crispy delicious biscuit. Instead of throwing away the crust from your sandwiches, you can transform it into bread crust rusk. It makes a delicious sugary snack and less waste since you don't throw away the bread crust. I don't believe eating bread crust is well known outside of Japan unless you've seen Season 3 Episode 1 of Aggretsuko. Warning, a bit of a spoiler if you haven't watched it yet. After breaking up with her real-life boyfriend Tadano in Season 2, Retsuko seeks solace in her virtual boyfriend Seiya. This handsome unicorn comes from a video game with microtransactions. Microtransactions are purchases you make with real money to give you a powerful boost in the game, or purely cosmetic like Seiya's new clothes or his big horn. In 2 days, she drained her bank account of 240,892 yen all on microtransactions. To save money for rent, travel expenses, and other expenditures, she changed her lunch from the usual bento to bread crust, which you can get free from bakeries in Japan. Now we'll talk about how to elevate your bread crust based on the manga I read. It's called Maiko-san Chi no Makanai-san by Aiko Koyama. In English, that translates to Makanai in the Maiko Lodge. Makanai is a meal provided to workplace staffers and not to customers. The manga focuses on Momohana the Maiko and Kiyo the cook for the Maiko Lodge. They're childhood friends who came to Kyoto together and continue to support each other on a daily basis. We'll be making the bread crust rusk now, and at the end I'll be talking more about the significance of it in the manga. You can get bread crust, of which we'll be using 5 from your local bakery, or you could just cut off the ends of your bread that you're going to use for a sandwich or something like that. You'll need 2 tablespoons of sugar to cover the fried bread crust to make it sweet and tasty. Lastly, you'll need vegetable oil, enough to cover the pan to fry your bread crust. You can also use something similar like how I use grapeseed oil. For crunchier rusk, take the bread crust out of the bag and air it out. Up to half a day is best. As you can see, the bread crusts have different thicknesses, so you'll need to watch out when frying them to make sure none of them burn. When I picked up the bread crust at the bakery, I watched how they were cutting it. They put whole loaves of bread into a cutting machine and gave me the ends of the bread loaf. Different sized bread loaves, so odd sized crust. Cut the bread crust into half-inch pieces. If you're cutting the bread crust off your sandwiches, then you can disregard this part since you're already done with it. Looks like the manga, right? You'll want to use a sharp knife as it's harder to cut bread crust with a dull knife. Common sense, right? I probably should have sharpened this knife before I started this, heeding my own advice. It was a little hard to cut them up, but nothing unbearable. I don't know why this bread crust has a hole in it, but it made for slightly easier cutting. With our bread crust all cut up, it's now time to start frying them. Grab your vegetable oil and pour out enough to cover the bottom of the pan. A little bit more. There we go. Turn on the stovetop and heat your oil to frying temperature of 356 degrees Fahrenheit. No thermometer to measure 356 degrees Fahrenheit? No problem, I'll show you how in the next step. After a few minutes of heating up, take a wooden spoon or chopstick and dip it into the oil. If you see it bubbling, that means it's at optimal frying temperature. Grab your bread crust and evenly place it within the pan. It'll take only 2 to 3 minutes to fry your bread rusk. Turn the bread crust over to prevent burning. For crunchier rusk, take it out of the oil and then put it right back in. The exposure to air helps prevent it from getting too oily in the middle. When the rusk is done frying, transfer it to a towel or an oil-absorbent paper. Although newspaper is used in the manga to absorb the excess oil, I wouldn't recommend it. The newspaper ink and the paper used might be hazardous to your health when ingested, so stick with paper towels or oil-absorbent paper. Shake off as much oil as you can before you put it on the paper. I think Aggretsuko probably would have liked her bread crust more if she had made it into bread crust rusk as well. For you Aggretsuko fans out there, who's your favorite character? Let me know in the comments. My favorite is Feneko. She's funny, cute, inquisitive, and cares deeply for her friends. She also has an infectious laugh. Ha 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 ha. A bit of a spoiler for those who haven't watched the show yet. I especially like the parts where Feneko goes into detective mode. Do you remember the Christmas special? Haida got very depressed when he saw Aggretsuko's Instagram and saw what was supposedly a dinner date she had on Christmas Eve. With Detective Feneko's keen eye and unphotoshopping skills, they discovered Retsuko was faking her dinner date. This made Haida so happy he quickly left Feneko and went to look for Retsuko. So in a way, Feneko got her two closest friends together for Christmas Eve. In Season 3, Episode 1, we also find Detective Feneko wondering why Retsuko came into work with a weird pattern on her face. With a couple of clues, Detective Feneko was able to deduce that Retsuko had a new virtual boyfriend in her life. Although we find out later in the episode, out of sheer curiosity, Detective Feneko also fell for the same virtual boyfriend. I mean, look at him, such a pretty unicorn. Let me know if you're a Feneko fan as well. After the paper has absorbed the excess oil, put the sugar on top of the rusk while it's still hot. To make it easier to distribute the sugar, you could also put the rusk inside a Ziploc bag and then put half of the sugar inside the bag, then shake it around. After you shake up the bag for a bit, you can open it up, put the rest of the sugar in, close it up, then shake it around some more to evenly distribute the sugar. Make sure to take the rusk out of the bag after you're done to make sure it does not become soggy as a result of the heat from inside the bag. If you want it less sweet, you can cut down the amount of sugar, like from 2 tablespoons down to 1 tablespoon. You could also substitute the sugar for a sweetener like monk fruit sweetener. Time to pour on the rest of the sugar. Sorta looks like snow falling on top of broken logs, doesn't it? That's it. You have elevated your bread crust into bread crust rusk. It's best to eat it that day as it will get soggy if you put it in a Ziploc bag overnight. It looks great and I bet it tastes great too. Time for a taste test. Itadakimasu. Delicious. It has a sweet and crunchy outside that makes a perfect bite. A perfect easy to make snack. Now that the cooking is done, let's talk about the manga. I initially thought the bread crust rusk would only have one appearance in the manga, but I was wrong. Kiyo and Su-chan grew up in Aomori Prefecture with their childhood friend Kenta. It was there that childhood crushes between the three had developed. Su-chan had fallen for Kenta, Kenta for Chiyo, and Chiyo supported both of them as friends. Whenever Kenta would see bread crust rusk, it would always remind him of Kiyo. Bread crust rusk would always bring up fond memories for Kenta as it was one of the first dishes Kiyo made for him. When they were younger, Kenta had visited Kiyo's home after baseball practice. Chiyo had made a fresh batch of bread crust rusk that her grandmother had just taught her. When Kenta said the bread crust rusk was delicious, it filled Chiyo with joy. Chiyo was brimming with happiness after she heard him say that. When Kenta saw that, his usual monotone face changed. This is something you'll notice like how Su-chan had noticed when he gets bread crust rusk. Although Su-chan knows about Kenta's feelings for Chiyo, her feelings for both have never wavered. She still loves both of them and wants their relationship to stay as it is. By the way, I was very happy to hear the manga will get an anime production last year. In fact, the first episode just came out last month and is broadcasted monthly on the 4th Wednesday of every month. You can watch it for free on NHK World until next year 2022. I'll post a link to the anime in the description below. Based on episode 1 of the anime, it looks like they're starting off on volume 2 of the manga. It's likely because they only have 12 episodes to fill as much as they can. With each episode covering 3 chapters, it looks like we'll get a couple volumes covered. They also have a cute segment after each chapter covered of Kiyo and Sumire talking about the dish of the day. Although the manga doesn't have an English translation yet, you can buy it on Amazon Japan and support the mangaka. You'll find a link to the manga in the description below. The manga can be shipped worldwide with Amazon Japan's Amazon Global International Shipping. Please enjoy the manga and the anime as well. Until next time, matane!